So I remember growing up as a child, and like all children do, I was fascinated with bicycles. In fact, I always wanted one, but having been grown up in the inner city of being town, my mother always feared that it would cause me to get in a lot of trouble. So definitely was something that I was not really privy to. But I remember this one holiday, a couple of months before I turned 10 years old, and I had the opportunity to work and have some fun along with my cousins. I'll cut the story short and I'll share with you that we had a fun summer, and one of the things that I finally got to do was ride a bike. I remember it like yesterday, and I'm sure that the story will sound familiar to all of you in here who would have had the opportunity to learn how to ride a bike. What happened was this. I jumped on the bike, I started to pedal, I started to move, and all of a sudden, you know what happened. I hit the ground. I hit the ground instantly. And it would take a number of years before I understood what happened. But I'll share a little bit further. One of the other things that happened was, I remember there was this one guy from the community who walked past. As he was strolling by, he recognized that I was struggling with the bike. I was struggling to stay balanced. And so one of the things that he did was he came and he began to walk alongside me. He held the bike as I continued to pedal, as I continued to move. And I realized very quickly that I'm getting the hang of this. And I was so excited. I was so excited that now, all of a sudden, I was able to ride the bike. And there he was, running alongside me as I continued to pedal. And then, in a brief moment, I turned around and I realized that I was all by myself. And again, you know what happened? I fell flat on my face. It would be years before I began to understand exactly what happened. You see, I simply summed it up as fear. I simply summed it up to the fact that, I was so afraid that I was going to fall that I just ended up falling. But I realized that it was actually a whole lot more than that. Let's talk about why I was successful at riding the bike. I was successful at riding the bike because the guy who I told you walked by, he, in that moment, became a mentor to me. He was someone who understood riding a bike at a much higher level than I did. In fact, I didn't understand it at all. Because of his support, his constant coaching, his constant saying, you could do it, his actually moving along with me, I began to ride the bike. But here's what happened. The minute that I realized that he was no longer riding or running along with me, I immediately fell. And here is why. My level of understanding of balance was totally different than his. Because he was with me, I was able to use his knowledge, his experience, his direction with riding a bike, and I use it as a source that was able to cause me to be able to carry out that activity, which I myself knew very little about. This speaks to mentorship. It tells us why mentorship is so important. It tells us why it is so important that if we are ever going to be great, if we are ever going to accomplish anything great for any sustained period of time, that it is crucial that we find mentors. So here's what I figured out. One of the greatest things that you would ever have to learn if you are ever going to become successful, if you are ever going to become all that you have to be, you've been called to be, is this. There are periods in your life when you have to unlearn everything that you have learned before if you are going to be successful at a new level. Because those limited beliefs sometimes hold us back from moving from one dimension to another. What do I mean by that? Up to that point, I had been taught that riding up that balance required steadiness. It required me being as still as possible. I'll illustrate it for you. One of the things that I was told that if I wanted to balance an egg in the spoon, that I had to move really, really slow. I was taught that if I wanted to balance a book on my head, that in order to make that happen, I had to stretch my arms out and I had to be as still as I could be. I remember watching television. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Watching that cop show. And one of the things that they would ask people to do was walk the straight line to prove that they were not in fact intoxicated. And time again, every person that came to the line did the exact same thing. They tried to go as slow as possible because we were taught to equate steadiness and balance with moving slowly or being still. But there was something that the guy who understood how to ride the bike understood that I did not know, over and over and over again. It was not until I finally got the hang of it, that eureka moment, when I realized that if I was going to stay steady on this bike, I had to continue to pedal. I had to continue to move. And then in no time, I realized that, whoo, there it is. In no time, I was popping wheelies like everybody else, because I now understood at a new level. So I want to challenge each and every one of you. Sometimes, based on the current level where we are, we could believe that we are full. Now, one of the things that I would have heard T.D. Jakes said in one of his sermon series, it was this. He said, as we begin to climb ladders, one of the things, and as we begin to come, one of the things that he realizes that is that when we learn to come from 1 to 100 is this. It would be easy if we really just learn how to count to 10. Because if we learn how to count to 10, all we had to do was change the number in the front and continue counting. Because all it simply was the 1 to 10 at a new level. It's all it really was. So what am I saying? Imagine, if you may, climbing up a flight of stairs. Then you always get to that one stairs that kind of is the top stairs of the former level, and then it is also the bottom stairs of the new level. It happens every single time you climb the stairs. Now, the reality is there's so many of us love being the 10 on the old level that we rarely ever change positions and get comfortable being the 1 again on a new level. This is what mentorship helps us to do. It helps us to understand that I can be in this position, but if I turn around slightly and I start to open my ear to new ideas, to another level of understanding, that I begin to stretch, I begin to grow, I begin to move forward. Very quickly, I will also share with you a conversation that T.D. Jakes also shared with that would lend to the thought of mentorship. He said that he had the opportunity at one point to meet with the owner of one of the ball teams. And he said that he went to him and he said these words. He says, I know that you are used to people coming to you asking you for your money. And it's not that I don't need your money. In fact, there's a number of things that I can do with your money, but here is what I know. I know that if I could learn to think the way you think, then I can have what you have. That is the power of mentorship. Mentorship allows us to pull on the insight of others. It allows us to pull on the wisdom of others. It allows us to pull on the experiences that others would have already lived, they would have already done. My challenge to all of you would be this, simply to seek mentorship. Seek mentorship in every single area of your life, where even those areas that you believe that you are at the top of the game. Chances are you are like the person standing on that stair that is both the top and the bottom. But if you would change direction and you would look up and you would find yourself a mentor, somebody that can pour into your life, that you will begin to grow, you will begin to expand, and you will begin to operate in new dimensions. So here's a power action that I want to leave with you today. Take a good look, an inventory of all of the people that are around you. Begin to discern, am I on the top? Am I always the one celebrated? It would suggest that it is time for you to turn just a little bit so that you could recognize that there's still a ways to go, and you can reach out and find a mentor who can help you get up the other stairs. There's a number of ways that you can do this. Look for people in your field. Look for people who have accomplished something along the lines that you are interested in studying. Even connect with people like me. I'm a John Maxwell certified trainer. I train on leadership and development. Organizations like mine, we run what we call mastermind sessions over and over again. Get connected, sign up for a mastermind session, learn what it means to increase your leadership lead, and then continue to pursue greatness. As always, I am J Nathaniel, making a great day.